going on, everybody? Gus here. How you guys doing? Today has nothing to do with me being a completionist, but what can I do? This is the third IEM from Blon. First we looked at the Blon BL-03, then the BL-05, and now we are looking at this. This is the Blon BL-01. And this review took a little bit while longer than I anticipated it would take because my expectations of it weren't necessarily met. It's different from what I expected it to be. And also my first impressions didn't really pan out after I tested it a little bit further. And we're gonna discuss all of that. All right? All right. Let's get to it then with this first. Price, because budget. The BL-03 launched at $37, and from then to now, it dropped to about 25 to 27 bucks, which is something you can find pretty consistently. So the 01 launching at 22 to 25 bucks makes this review quite interesting because they are basically two offerings from the same company at the same price, basically, that don't do the same thing. Now, in terms of impedance and powering these things, everything is going to be able to push them further than you should be listening to stuff. You know, don't damage your own hearing while blasting IEMs, please. Now, in terms of build, it seems they took a little bit of the feedback from the BL-05 in that more pill shape and tried to do something that actually fits ears a little bit better in this sort of bean shape. I like the more subdued design in comparison to the BL-05, but my favorite among the three is still the 03. This one does have a design that seems that would take a little bit more effort to put together, but I like the 03 a bit more either way. Now, something else that's changed is the box. You no longer have the clear space to see the IEMs inside, you just have this with the design of the IEMs up front, which makes absolutely zero difference to most people because basically everyone I know is going to take everything from inside the box and toss it as soon as they can. What didn't change are these. They still come with an assortment of silicone tips that are like, you're better off getting a better set of silicone tips from actually almost anywhere, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend you go for a super cheap IEM and then spend on it with better tips and better cables anyway. But yeah, these tips, they can do enough of a good job for you to just use your budget IEMs. It still comes with a little potato sack pouch for you to carry the IEMs in, which is good, and it still comes with the same cable that everybody complains about. I'm not gonna necessarily knock points off of the BL-01 because I didn't knock points of the 03 or the 05 on the cable, but it is starting to look like Blon is cheaping out on the actual cable that comes with their IEMs. There are plenty of other options around the same price range that come with better tips and better cables stock out of the box. But again, just like I said with the tips, I wouldn't recommend you go for a $20 IEM and then spend other, 20 to 30 bucks on tips and cables just to make it better. If you're okay ponying up to do that, just grab a better pair of IEMs that's going to come like a complete package from the start. It's just less of a hassle. And lastly, sound quality. How do these things sound? Well, like I said, I had expectations for it. The BL-03 basically set the bar. This is the Blon flavor. This is the baseline quality you should expect from a Blon IEM. Then the Blon 05 came, grabbed all of that and just bumped it up a notch. Refined everything the 03 did, so better in every respect without actually tackling the problems the 03 had. So it still had a wide and artificial soundstage, it still had somewhat of a bit too much bass sometimes, still had a little bit of a recessed mid-range and a bit of a shoutiness in the high tones. But the overall sound signature, how fun and energetic and punchy and upbeat it was, that was still definitely the same Blon flavor in the sound. Tonality and characteristics, they were all there. So my expectations for the 01 was to do the exact same thing, but to the opposite side of the spectrum. So a lesser version of the 03 and hence a cheaper one. And now cheaper means $2 to $5 of a difference, so not that much, but still, those were my expectations. And the 01 doesn't do that. It's much more like someone at Blon said, okay, let's do a cheaper version of the BL-03, but trying to fix everything people complained about it and the BL-05. So, okay, the shape was one thing, all right? They ignored the feedback on the cable, obviously. They also ignored the feedback on the tips, again, obviously. And then they went after the sound. All right, they had too much bass, let's tone it down. They had too much of a recessed mid-range. Let's push it forward a little bit more. They had a bit of a shouty high end. Let's grab it and push it down a little bit and let's get it a little bit more recessed. The soundstage seemed a little bit too wide, so let's, compress it a little bit. If they had stopped there, they would have gotten the 03 and made it a little bit less of what it was, but still probably with the same Blon overarching flavor in the sound. But apparently they didn't want to stop there and went on a little bit too far, because the low end is not only lesser in quantity, it's also lesser in quality. You lose detail, and it's no longer as well defined from beginning to end with as good of a decay as you would get from the BL-03. The mid-range is a little bit forward. Okay, they didn't mess too much there, but there's a little bit less detail in that forwardness. And the high tones, yes, are a little bit more recessed, so it's not as shouty, but it's still a little bit sibilant in some areas where the 03 and the 05 weren't before. The overall quality and detail being presented is less than what you get on the 03. Soundstage is more constricted, but it still feels somewhat artificial at times. And within that soundstage, imaging is still just as good from left to right, but it's not as good with that little bit of forwards and backwardness that you would get with the 03 and the 05. It was just a tad bit that you would get with the 05 and the 03, but hey, it's not here anymore. And instrument separation is almost as good. It gets a little bit muddy when there's too much going on compared to what the 03 and the 05 were capable of. But beyond all that, the energetic presentation, the upbeat vibe, and that fun way of presenting sound that was part of the charm of the 03 and the 05 are not here, because the 01 is trying to be much more chill about it. And the overarching sound signature and characteristics of the tonality of the 01 are again much warmer than what you would get from the 03 and the 05. So if you put all of that together, the result is that the 01 doesn't feel like it's from the same family. If you listen to the 03 and the 05, you definitely can say that both of them are from the same family of headphones, while the 01 isn't. It's much more akin of something that's trying to emulate, it's trying to copy, it's trying to look alike a TIN T2, and it's not exactly doing that very good of a job. So you have on one side the TIN T2 being relaxed and chilled and warm and inviting and like a joy to listen to. On the other, you have the Blons, 03 and 5, being energetic and powerful and punchy and fun and like upbeat and up there. And in the middle, there's the 01, which is a very dangerous place to be, because there are a bunch of options from KBER, Moondrop, KZ, TRN, and others that right in that middle section do a better job at being like not all the way to one side and all the way to the other compared to the 01, with a better overall package, delivering better tips and better cables around the same price range. And if you want to go either to one side or the other, the difference between going for the 01 and the 03 is $2 to $5. If you want that blonde flavor, even though it is a little bit cheaper, the 01 isn't your entry point. The 03 still is, and it's still a better IEM overall in my opinion. And if you want a more relaxing, chilled, warmer, inviting sound signature, you can always grab a TIN T2 for what, $40? If you grab him on a sale or a promotion or something like that, maybe $30, and you grab an overall better package with definitely better tips and definitely better cables. So the 01 is in a place where I really can't recommend it to either camps, and I probably wouldn't recommend it even for those people who want to be in the middle. It's an attempt for Blon at doing something different, it's just that this time it didn't really pan out. And that's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, so like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave any comments or suggestions down below, and share the video if you enjoyed it. Really helps us out a lot and I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Gus, and I'll catch you guys later.